Hi there, everybody. This is John Drew here from Elevated Planet.
And Jole Gabrielle here from Elevated Planet, and we'd like to welcome you to today's show, where John is going to tell us more about it.
Yeah, I want to start off with a round of applause to Jole because she has not been very well, and she has been absolutely brilliant in turning up to do recordings and various other things, regardless. And yeah, well done, Jole. Well done. So, I wanted to start off, I suppose, by mentioning the fact, as I've mentioned before, we are a donation-based channel. We do have the details. I think I'll put them in there. If not, I'll put them in afterwards. But yeah, the PayPal. Anybody who cares to donate to our channel to help us to keep the lights on, we are very, very grateful. And also, if you do like the content that we pull together, if you could like, share, and subscribe, share it with the like-minded people that you know may understand this message, and always so grateful for that. And without actually going into much of an explanation about today's show, we're going to do something which is a little bit more descriptive. We are going to play you the first section, relatively short section, but it really does set the scene for today. So with that said, if you bear with me a second, we are going to go to that right now.
The totality of being.
Alariel, as you transform your being and your consciousness, you will increasingly be living across the total spectrum of human experience. Instead of concentrating upon one level, as you have done by focusing intensively on mental activity during the last few centuries, you will value all the four main levels and live in a balanced way that honors all of these. By balancing the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual levels, which we have called the PEMS continuum, you can enjoy the full range of human experience and avoid the discomfort, disharmony, and dis-ease that comes from any kind of imbalance. In one way, it can be said that apart from a brief period in Golden Atlantis, you have not really experienced what it is like to be fully, joyfully, and radiantly human. Yes, you have lived in many bodies, but they have staggered on from day to day, overworked, undernourished, and ill, with a whole host of addictions, karmic limitations, and diseases. You may have accepted this as the norm for humanity, but to us it is a travesty of what human life should be and could be.
They created an invisible prison and kept you locked up in it, but there are no metal bars or visible locks. We are talking about barriers so subtle that many people live and die without ever realizing how they were manipulated. Comfort and entertainment are offered as constant distractions, while real hunger, the search for meaning, autonomy, and vitality remains buried. Maybe you have already felt that emptiness, hours spent staring at a screen, fueled by processed foods that only mask a deeper lack. This is the core of a system that wants to keep you on autopilot. It is easier to distract yourself than to confront the essential question: why do we accept living in a routine that leaves us exhausted, drowning in debt, and without genuine fulfillment? Most people consider it normal to trade their time for a job that barely covers the bills because they have been convinced that there is no other way to exist. This captivity does not happen by chance. There are interests that benefit from a passive society, too afraid to take risks and unable to see that it lives behind invisible walls. The idea that something is very wrong with the world and inside each of us is not new. Philosophers, spiritual teachers, and even revolutionary leaders have pointed out the presence of control structures that shape our thoughts, actions, and even our desires. But how do we break free? It takes courage to confront these mechanisms, because true freedom requires first recognizing that you are imprisoned.
So there's our scene setting. We mentioned this last week. For those who saw the show last week, we've focused in on the fact that one of the things that Alariel said was that the human existence of today is a travesty of what it is actually supposed to be. So that being the case, what Why is that? What is that? Because, we talk about this being imprisoned, like so brainwashed, so conditioned, so programmed to believe a false narrative that we've gone on for generation after generation, kind of being enslaved, right? That's it. And I remember going back probably a couple of years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I first heard from when the Z's were talking about the fact that we've effectively been, sort of uh, imprisoned for the last 10,000 years. And I'm thinking, well, how we don't feel like we're in prison. We'll just live in life. This is life as we know it. What we have come to consider the norm, is a travesty of what human existence should be. And this is, again, from the Wise Quotes piece, which is that second piece of that we've just seen, and great, a brilliant team. Wise Quotes, always worth checking out on YouTube. But it really is about this invisible prison that we're trapped in, in this illusion of separation and limitations, which are not really ours, but we have chosen to take them because we've been encouraged in that direction by conditioning and programming. Starts at an education level, starts even with your mom and dad, because they were programmed in the same way anyway, so they don't know any better. So we've effectively become self-perpetuators and guards of our own prison because we think that this is worth defending. We don't realize how powerful we are. And this piece that we're going to do that follows this from Mary Magdalene really explains the Magdalene perspective of what humanity is going through now and where humanity can choose to move to as the frequency rises on the planet, as we are going into this shift of the ages and the transition times. It's exciting, right? Because if we say that, okay, life around us is kind of manageable because it's all we've really ever known, and yet where we are heading is so much better. This is something to get excited about. It's not something to get angry about because we've been manipulated. It's actually an opportunity to take back our power and create our own world of unspeakable beauty. And that's kind of the way I look at it. I'm not beating anybody up about this because I know that because of the fact that we are all one, regardless of whether you're here to play a darker role or a lighter role, we all still come from that same original source. We are all divine aspects of creation. So it isn't about beating up on anybody. It's not about blaming people. It's taking your power back, coming back into the heart, and then realizing that this is us. This is for us to take this forward and change our reality to what we want rather than what we've been encouraged to accept as the norm. So with that said, I want to bring Jole back in for your thoughts on that.
Oh, I think you summed it up quite nicely. You know, where we really have to take a look within. I'm
Yeah.
always about the looking within. And it may be very difficult for some of us to look within because there's really not a safety net there, right? And it is a safety net that we're not used to using. Let me rephrase that because we've been focused extrinsically, I think that's the word, outside
Yeah.
of ourselves to look for something to help us when it's all right in here. And so delving deep is some of the tools we can use to begin to look within. Delving, talking to yourself, like seeing what comes up, taking the time, slowing down. These are some of the tools. And I hear, I can't slow down. I've got so much to do. Well, before you wake up, 15 minutes, if you can breathe before you go to bed, these little things can help move the needle just a little bit more towards your life of unspeakable beauty.
Yeah. Yeah. And part of that speeding up process, part of that keeping people so busy they don't have time to think is part of the
Yes.
programming. You know,
Yes.
it's kind of realizing that is part of the prison, right? And that's a choice that we have to step outside of because we know society has been structured in a way and finances being what they are, money
Yeah.
being what it is, you feel the need, you're in competition with everybody for scarce resources. That's what we're encouraged to believe. But
Yeah.
there's no scarcity in here.
No, there is not scarcity in here at all. And there's abundance. But like I said, the fountain we've been choosing to look at is one outside of us, which can be turned on and off by other people or other things, but what's in here, it sustains us. And I know that we've been programmed and conditioned in a certain way, but we can undo this through connectivity and curiosity. That is important. But we really want to come from a place of neutrality. Judgment and criticism, a lot of times, is what takes us out of that state of balance and harmony. So if we can learn how to accept, you don't ever have to engage, you can move away, but just let that be and go towards what you want. We spend a lot of time policing and judging when what we should be doing is kind of carving out our own path, or what we benefit from doing is carving out our own path. And then once we get to where we want to be, we start adding value, more value to the earth, to
Mm.
mankind, to ourselves. So that's one of the ways in which we can raise our frequency and vibration and really search out there for the tools that work for you. All of it is useful. Writing, grounding, breathing, meditating are ways to expand your neutrality.
Yes. Yeah, and a big part of the problem has been, as Alariel refers to, that PEMS continuum, which is,
Yeah.
the physical, the emotional, the mental, the spiritual. And we've not had that balance. It's all been very mind focused.
Mental, yes. And
Yeah.
the mind meld is real. Like sometimes because the mind is different from the brain. The mind is it's like mass consciousness in a way. And
Mm.
it is what programs and conditions us to sort of have that hive mind. But when we break away, which is scary, right? Because we all want to belong to something. And when we break away and say, you know what, I'm choosing me, I'm choosing God, it's a journey, and it can be a struggle, but that's when you begin to really deeply connect, and you'll start to find your tribe, because finding our tribe outside of our family sometimes can be challenging, but that's when the intuition comes into play. That's why it's important sometimes to disconnect, to get a reality check about who you really are without all of those accessories, which would be your social standing and what the mind meld and mass consciousness is doing and thinking. Maybe it's time for you to do something different. And don't be afraid of that, because you are a creator and you can magnetize in the people and the experiences that then confirm the fact that you are a channel of light and blessings.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I go back to what I heard. I heard this about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Somebody explaining that, for us to be so mind-based, it's like having a 5-year-old, choosing to have a 5-year-old drive your car for you, you know?
Yes, yes, that's so true. But we're here to really step that pins all levels into a spiritual maturity. And that's important. But we first got to work with some of the pieces and the parts of us that may be disjointed or disconnected from the whole.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So do you think we should head into the Mary Magdalene piece?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, we should.
Okay. So this is what we're going to do. So the next piece in this particular jigsaw, in understanding what the level of this travesty is about that Alariel talks about, in terms of how humanity is really underserving ourselves, if you like, and understanding what that means. So Mary Magdalene is going to explain more for us and offer us the perfect solution, as you might expect. And it is for this time. This is channeled wisdom for now. And it's done by a lady called Mercedes Kirkel. This is from one of her books, and it's really superb. It is very much on point, much like with the work of Stuart Wilson and Joanna Prentice in the books that we've covered in the past over the last few months. Anything from everything from the Essenes going through to the Power of the Magdalene, and the Magdalene version, all brilliant, brilliant books. But this is another one, which is another channel. And when Mercedes started to channel, and she showed some of her work to Stuart and to Joanna, and they could tell straight away it was for real. And Alariel confirmed it was for real, that there were numerous channels around the world who were receiving the Magdalene wisdom. So it's and one of the things is interesting, because Mercedes Kirkel asked herself the question, why would it be that Mary Magdalene would come through her? And then she discovered in a past life regression that she too was at the Isis Mystery School and was a high priestess there. at the same time as Mary Magdalene. So they are soulmates from 2,000 years ago, which is why it became Mercedes' job. And undoubtedly, that was always part of her life plan. She just wouldn't have known it until it started happening. And now there is a lot of wisdom to share. So we're going to do that. We're going to go to this section now by Mercedes channeling the wisdom of Mary Magdalene, which delves into the scene setting that we've put out for you so far. So bear with me a second. We are going to switch screens.
Join the river of love. Beloved ones, I come again to talk with you about the heart. All I have said to you can be summarized as this: open your heart, feel from your heart, live from your heart. Let your mind be in service to your heart. It really is that simple. But for most of you, it is not easy. That is why I have talked so much about what you must do to embody this. More than anything, it is about regaining your capacity for feeling. This capacity has been intentionally shut down in you to make you easy to control. Even as very young children, most of you received messages that told you feelings were bad or forbidden if you wanted to be loved and accepted. Often you received these messages from parents who actually loved you and meant to support you, but they were just passing on the messages and training they'd received. Have you ever wondered why your school system is almost exclusively geared toward training your mind, and most of you have received virtually no instruction in feeling or in how to use your emotions? This is not an oversight or an accident. It is done intentionally to produce productive members of society who are obedient and submissive, and who will devote their life energy to doing what they are told without following their own impulses and desires. I realize that it may be very difficult to see yourselves this way, very painful, and may also bring up mourning for what you have lost in the process. Do you remember a young child, yourself, who had dreams and fantasies and passions, who believed in yourself and your desires? That child part of you usually gets trained out in your education system, a place where you become trained to do what's right and work for rewards, which teaches you to perform for extrinsic motivation rather than for your own internal motivation. You've been trained to be successful and to measure that success by outside standards, such as your income, your status in your company or work field, or your acceptance by others. All of this takes you away from being connected to yourself, to your own intrinsic movement and direction as a spiritual being. This is a form of psychic slavery, and it is extremely powerful. In psychic slavery, your masters have your mind and beliefs enslaved so that they don't even have to support you physically. They have trained you to do that yourself, as well as to direct the fruits of your labors to others' designs. This only works if your feeling nature and your heart are shut down. So you have been trained to do that too. Now I and others, many others, are suggesting to you a whole different course. And it is founded in feeling and awakening the heart on the basis of feeling. This is the platform that will reconnect you to the entire kingdom of God. Would you like this? Do you believe it's possible? I ask you to explore this arena and to find out for yourself. I trust this process implicitly. Your heart is of God, and it will not misguide you. You can trust it. Much you have been taught through your institutions will fall away if you awaken your heart and begin to follow its wisdom. Your institutions of government, religion, business, education, social control and justice, war and defense, finance, media, news, and entertainment. So many of these have been corrupted and are infiltrated with beliefs and ideas that do not support you, that suppress your life and your well-being for the benefit of a few. In truth, even these few do not actually benefit, because none are truly free or enjoy if this occurs at the expense of others. But they do not yet know this, and so they suffer too, as well as you. All suffer this system, this paradigm, and all are supported by any who break free of it, even though that freedom may seem threatening to those who still believe in the system and look to it for their security and safety. I call you to be a warrior for God and for peace, and this begins within yourself by breaking free of the shackles that have been placed on your ability to feel and connect with your heart. This is where the work is to be done. Once you connect with your heart, it becomes a journey of love that God directs. I call you to join this journey. Each one who does supports all in this path, because we are all connected. Each one of you matter. Your choices matter. You can support the old system of control and subservience by shutting down your feeling nature and your connection to God. Or you can support the path of freedom by engaging your feeling and loving connection to God through your heart. In every moment, you have a choice, and the choice happens through feeling. I and so many others are calling to you to join us in the river of love that flows from your heart. It is a place of great joy and love and peace. It is the place of connection with God, of growing in God, of being guided by God, of living in God, of living as God, of knowing all as God. I do not know of anything more wonderful than that. I call to you and invite you to join us in this great and wondrous process of living in and as God. I do this because I love you, because I know you as God, and I am not different from you. This is your destiny, too. In love and service and joy, I am Mary Magdalene.
So, it's interesting. Yeah, because I always think that, with Mary Magdalene, again, the temptation is because of the way we've been conditioned and programmed. It's kind of like putting the likes of Mary Magdalene, Yeshua on a pedestal, and yet they want to be seen. Mary Magdalene would want to be seen as our sister. Yeshua has said that he wants to be seen as our brother. That everybody is an equal, because it's, again, comes back to that unity consciousness. This is all about getting back into the heart. That is where we're connecting. I mean, the Mary Magdalene wisdom, I think, is fantastic, and it's very much of the age of Aquarius, which is effectively the age that we're in now, albeit we're seeing the death throes of the old top-down masculine energy, which is on its way out. But we have to go through this birthing process of the new era of higher frequency, and we have decisions to make along the way. But again, it's all about the game of life. But as with any game, you've got to know the rules. And this has been the fantastic thing for me over the last 8 years. I have begun to know the rules. I didn't even know there was a game before. And now I kind of realize, and every week unfolds new parts of the game. But, it's so consistent. This is the answer right here. We have been so out of balance and balance and harmony is so important. But it comes back to that PEMS continuum. You have to have your focus equally balanced: physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. There is a balance. We have been so far out of that. We cannot have been, we cannot have really. That's why it's been a travesty of what human life should be. As we now learn and get back into balance, we have everything to look forward to. It's beautiful. I really am looking forward to getting into this era of unity consciousness, that heart-based Christ consciousness that lives within each of us. We just have to choose to activate it. And just, you know, we understand we are individuated expressions of the divine. Every one of us has an equal value, regardless of how humble somebody may appear in life, or how troubled they may appear, or how dark or how light. Okay, it's all part of the same. We are all part of the Creator. And I love the way that, and again, this is the way that Mary Magdalene puts this across and explains this is all about life as we know it. All these distorting powers around us, the governments, the businesses, the religions, the finance world, the news and the content that's out there to program us, TV programming of us, and conflicts and wars. It's all there designed to draw us in. It's all there as that external distraction that Jole was talking about earlier. It's those external distractions that if we're not careful, if we don't get on our Pam Gregory eagle's perch and look at it from that place of divine neutrality, maybe using, again, one of Jole's favored kind of tools, which is the Ho'oponopono, but I'll let her go back through that again. But when you start thinking about all these different facets of our life, it is like we are living on some levels. It's like the dystopian, it's a George Orwell kind of life. I mean, it feels better than that. That was a very extreme version, say in 1984. But nevertheless, there is still elements of that. There's strong amounts of truth that we are just being manipulated and we're being used for our energy. But in order to do that, we have to consent to it. In order to choose not to consent to it, you have to realize that what's going on, and you realize that there is a choice. So this is why this is so powerful. And all the way from the education systems as well. So even as kids, our parents would be part of the control process because that's what they lived through and that's what they believed. Nobody's fault. We've been through this life several times and we've been programming people into this as well. But now is the time for change. The education systems are so aligned with just, again, getting people to be productive members of society, to be obedient, to follow the rule, which means that you're earning money for the elites. And, now we kind of realize that we have choices, that there is abundance for all, and there is no scarcity. There are no limitations other than what we have imposed on ourselves. So now we get to wind it back. We have our superpowers of, the emotions and the feelings, as Mary Magdalene talks about a great deal. Is getting back into our feelings. It's getting back into those emotions and trusting them and actually getting into them and understanding everything, not suppressing and repressing everything. And it's something I've said a few times, but, as particularly as an English man, if you like, because here you get told to repress your emotions as a male, particularly. And I think that, like having lived in America for a fair few years as well, people are more open with their emotions. But here you kind of like, no, bottle it up. Showing your emotions is weakness. Well, actually, no. Suppressing your emotions is really bottling up the problem, making it worse for later. Allowing the emotions to travel on through, to learn the lessons, to grow and to expand. That is what we should be doing. So, but again, it's all about understanding the rules of the game and then playing to that particular game. So, I'd like to bring Jole back because, there's a lot of your kind of stuff going on here, right? So,
Yeah, you had a lot of good stuff there, John, but I just want to add because the Age of Aquarius, maybe people don't really understand exactly what that's about. And some say, it is just sort of symbolic because we don't know if we're moving into it. Some people say it's going to be decorate decades and all that, but it represents individuality, networking, and unconventional thinking, community, and then challenging established systems, which is really important right now. And you see that all around us. But what it is we're being asked to do is to stop giving away our authority and learn to think, discern, and participate for ourselves. And even with the AI coming in, it is, we're co-opting our thinking to some degree. And that's okay, but it can be a tool. I do believe we can work hand in hand with some of this stuff, but there needs to be checks and balances, right? And so the Age of Aquarius means really becoming authentic with yourself and spending some time there, learning and growing with yourself, because higher consciousness, whether you like it or not, is coming. And, us as human beings, we're more coming into an energy of being more individually sovereign. And we need to make sure we don't lose our humanity in the process, right? So that's why John and I show up, is to help us remember that to expand and to really connect, it's from a heart centered space. So detaching and disconnecting sometimes from the mind meld, mass consciousness is so important. I want to reiterate that. But you're like, well, I watch the news, I watch TV. How do I disconnect or detach and still maintain a connection? And we use symbology for that, meditative and creative visualization practices. So let's say that you're in a meeting and you're just like, oh God, what's going on here? It's chaos. Roses around your aura layer. You're somewhere, you're watching TV, a movie, you can bring down a cobalt blue like veil or curtain between you and the movie theater, the screen, so that none of that occultic programming that's in that is going to come onto you. So there are tricks and tips you can use in present time to stay authentic, to stay expansive, to detach from the mind meld, but it requires that you know who you are. You know what you consist of. And that's why during the meditation, we'll do that. We'll opt out of some of this stuff because the vows, the contracts, the agreements, the other obligations that you may have, the curses, the spells that are put into all of this stuff, they do affect us energetically. But luckily, we're in a place now where we're transitioning and people are going, I matter, I'm worthy. How do we get the skills to fortify that within ourselves? And it is through nature, meditating, writing. I keep saying this, but the symbol of a rose is very important in that it protects you, but it also allows for that energy to be absorbed without entering into your aura layer. So whenever you feel yourself challenged, triggered, roses up. That's the word. Your higher self knows. Get all your soul architecture back. Roses up. Put them in front of you. Put it in front of your heart, your ears if you don't want to hear, your eyes if you don't want to see, but you still have to focus. These are things that can protect you that the ancients knew help to move us forward. So get curious about how your operating system moves and what it requires, because that's very beneficial for us as we move through this transition and change, because everything is so chaotic. And John and I are saying, don't judge, don't criticize, but yet and still things are falling apart. But at the same time, if you don't judge, you don't criticize yourself, you move through some of this energy with unconditional love and respect for yourself, it really reverberates out. And that's what we want you to know. So start with you, and then things in your environment then begin to transform.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the energies have got to be so different right now because, it is the energy of change. There's no doubt about it. And chaos is often a prerequisite for change, as we know.
Yes.
And and we are going through this precession of the equinoxes, right? So
Mhm.
the Aquarius obviously ties in with that as well. But yeah, every 25,920 years, you can set your alarm by it, right? We we go through the precession of the equinoxes. That is
Yeah.
happening right now. But again, as Jole says, it's not like an overnight thing. This is not something
Mhm.
that say on the 21st of December 2012 at the end of the Mayan calendar, it means the 22nd of December 2012, everything's completely different. You're going through a transition phase. The transition phase is seeing the frequency rise on the planet, that we are actually part of that. And we have the opportunity to move up with the frequency. We need to be in vibrational alignment in order to be able to transition
Yes.
up to a higher dimensional level. So that's
Yep.
where we need to kind of focus our energies. It's that heart-based thing. But the other thing that always, go back to that Alan Watts thing, which is, we are not here to repeat the old loops of cause and effect. We're here to create new ones. We don't have to play the old game. We don't have to play the conflict game, the blame game, the rage, the anger, the fear, because that is just feeding your energy to the
Right.
problem. And it's not easy because again, decades and decades of programming triggers us, right? So it's a work in progress. So exactly as you say, Jolie, to be able to lean into meditation and things that quiet the mind, that enable you to get back to the heart, invaluable.
Yes, very much so, because it is a practice. You want to experience it, you observe what happens inside of you, and then you develop discernment that way, and then you are able to take radical responsibility for your choices, which mean you're not surrendering your authority or your power to something outside of you, which is so important. And I think that's the crux of this transition, is taking your power back from the pedagogy or from religious dogmas and all of that, and having a middleman between you and God. What's coming is radical responsibility for your spirituality, for the way you're showing up emotionally, mentally, and physically. And it's okay for you to show up tired, upset, all of that. That is about the feeling of the emotion, because if you flow through it, all of a sudden the cloud disappears and you have clarity. But it is important for us to move through some of that with our own, support, like what I'm saying, writing, going out in nature, screaming in a pillow, whatever works for you. But try to stay away from any type of outside stimuli to sort of soothe what's going on here. It's better that that take place from a place of sobriety.
Yeah. 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 That's often a temptation, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
Um, but okay. So what do you think? I mean, should we head into meditation? Are we ready for
Yes.
that?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go back again to repeat some of those Mary Magdalene words of wisdom to lead us into Jole Gabrielle's words of wisdom to take us forward into that meditation. So bear with me a second. We will switch screens once more.
I call you to be a warrior for God and for peace. And this begins within yourself by breaking free of the shackles that have been placed on your ability to feel and connect with your heart. This is where the work is to be done. Once you connect with your heart, it becomes a journey of love that God directs. I call you to join this journey. Each one who does supports all in this path, because we are all connected. Each one of you matter. Your choices matter. You can support the old system of control and subservience by shutting down your feeling nature and your connection to God. Or you can support the path of freedom by engaging your feeling and loving connection to God through your heart. In every moment, you have a choice, and the choice happens through feeling.
Put your feet flat on the floor, your palms face up on your thighs. For those of you that want to lay down for this meditation, please keep your feet flat for the beginning part. Bring your awareness to the center of your chest. And begin to breathe with the rhythm of your body. With each breath, I want you to relax your body even more and allow for all parts of you to slow down and be present. As you bring your awareness now from a heart-centered space to visualizing a grounding cord connected to your first chakra, 6 inches in diameter, moving through the layers of Mother Earth. All the way down into her core as we root ourselves into her loving, nurturing energy. Feel what it feels like to be connected and rooted into Mother Earth and her power. And now visualize your aura layer being 1.5 feet around you and you sitting inside of this perfectly oval shaped aura layer directly in the center of it. We're going to snap our astral body in and call our higher self to stand directly above our crown in the power position at a comfortable distance. And so now, take a deep breath in, and on the exhale, visualize the bottoms of your feet and your crown opening simultaneously. And the feet is 15% earth energy of a color that resonates with you. As that cosmic gold life force energy rains down from the heavens onto your higher self, entering your crown. And immediately it's beginning to separate mass consciousness from who you really are. So take a moment and allow for that golden life force energy to work out all the worry, the doubt, the fear, decalcify that pineal, reprogram the DNA for health and wellness, and to let go of any ancestral programming or blocks that is getting in the way of your most loving good. And then that golden energy drops down into the neck, balancing those hormones, waking up that lymphatic system to move all of this waste on a physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual level out of your body, down your grounding cord, as it then meets with that earth energy in your heart. And then it begins to fill you up like water fills up a cup, getting into the sacrum, the L5, L4, the lower back, and the spine. Let it regulate that nervous system, letting your body know it is safe for me to opt out of any destructive mass consciousness programming, period. And let this essence fill you up as you breathe with the rhythm of your body, knowing you are safe, regardless of whether there is outside support inside of you, is the creator, the energy of divinity and creativity. Allow for this earth energy and this golden life force to awaken the creative energy, to show you with clarity the solutions, to bring tremendous amounts of worthiness and unspeakable beauty into that heart, into that mind, into that body. Feel your body exactly where it is now. Gently notice everything you have been taught that you should be, the expectation the fear of disappointing people, the old family patterns, and even the versions of yourself you created simply to survive. Don't fight any of it. Just let it come up and just simply recognize this may have shaped us, but it does not have to define us. Imagine and see all of that energy of the cultural conditioning, the need for approval, the roles that you've had to play, and turn it a bright color in your body, in your aura layer. And put a beautiful golden moon above your head. And in this moon is a high-powered magnet with your name on it. And we're going to call back all of our energy as we flush this cultural conditioning, inauthenticity, performativeness that we've had to utilize, we believed, to get through. See it move down through your grounding cord. And breathe in deeply. And on the exhale, release all of this energy because you're no longer consciously choosing this behavior, knowing that it no longer belongs in your life, and let it move down your grounding cord. No judgment, no fighting. It's just relief. Just relief and release. Now bring your awareness to your solar plexus. Feel from your center of choice, will, and personal authority. And say quietly within yourself, I release the need to become who I was taught to be. I choose to discover who I actually am. Take a deep breath in, exhale. And now move your awareness into your heart and ask yourself the question, what is true for me now? Don't force an answer, just listen. And now remember that energy, all of your energy is returning back to you in that golden moon above your head. And you could see it returning like waves of energy, quantum waves of energy. And your energy is being called back from every place where you've abandoned yourself for acceptance, for validation, when you were fearful or out of obligation or a need to belong. That energy is returning, purified, clear, and completely yours, with all other energy filtered out. And now, you know what I want you to say to yourself? I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And say to yourself, I belong to me. I trust myself enough to ask questions, be bold. I love myself enough to transform and change. I am free to choose again. I do not need permission to be authentic. I am authentically divine. And my life is mine to consciously create. So on a deep breath in and on the exhale, we allow for this energy to settle within us. And from a heart-centered space, sit quietly and open up the portal between the heart and the mind. And let the ego and the mind know I opt out of all negative programs, blocking karma, anybody else's spells, ancestrally or otherwise, curses, vows, contracts, agreements, or other obligations that hurt me or the universe. I opt out completely at this moment. And you do this with love. And as you say this to yourself and see the world blooming with life, unconditional love, and unspeakable beauty, go ahead and reach up. See your higher self reach up and pull that beautiful golden moon down through itself as it moves into your crown, breaks into 50 trillion cells that integrate with your atoms and your cells, moving out into your aura layer, out into your environment, allowing you to magnetize to you your most loving and highest good with grace and ease. You are the answer. You are what you've been looking for. It may sound cliche, but it's time to unpack that. We can do hard things. And if you prefer grace and ease, then meditate and visualize your life filled with love and peace, and sit here in the energy of a wish fulfilled as the Creator works with you to raise your consciousness and your vibration to match what it is you desire in the most positive and loving way. So as this earth energy and this cosmic gold life force energy mix in with all the power, the glory, and the blessings that you have called back, that is a part of your divine destiny, sit in your heart and just project out love. You don't have to open your heart chakra because what? You are love. Just project that out into the universe. See all those beautiful heart emojis just all around you, all just multiplying into your environment. All around you is nothing but unconditional love that you have access to at any time to balance and harmonize your energy. And it's time we take radical responsibility and dive into that essence, that etheric gift that's been given to us of the quantum. Drop the judgment and the criticism and moved into the acceptance and the neutrality. You are love, you are joy, and you are peace. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. Say this to yourself anytime you feel the need to judge, to criticize, to self-deprecate. Let it all go down your grounding cord. Let Mother Earth, Cosmic Divine, and your powerful energy be what guides you and moves you. So now, take a deep breath in, and on the exhale, close your feet, your hands, and your crown chakras like the lens of a camera, and know that that earth energy recedes back down right below the soles of your feet, with you having access to it at any time. And that golden life force energy ascends right above your higher self, where you have access to that God energy, pleroma, at any time. And take another deep breath in. And on the exhale, all of that new energy solidified and creates density in our bodies, raising our frequency and vibration to match that of our desires. So take another deep breath in, and on the exhale, you can open your eyes.
That was beautiful. I love that. Thank you, Jole.
Thank you.
All the way from your sick bed there to sleep. Honestly, I don't know how
Yeah,
you do it, but
you gotta do it.
they were powerful affirmations. I love that. The Ho'oponopono in there, and I could really feel that. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, that is such an important. I mean, I wind up saying it in my mind all throughout the day when I'm doing things. I can visualize my finances and I ho'oponopono them, my past, the pictures that keep coming up. And I've noticed that when I do that, I am not plagued by those thoughts and those beliefs,
Mhm.
you know, where you all day long you have these mind parasites. Ho'oponopono, it's like raid, it's like repellent to the parasites in the mind.
I like that. Yeah, yeah, that's it. That's it. It's so on message. So thank you, Jole. That was just
Absolutely.
beautifully interpreted. So
Thank
very
you.
good. So, in terms of community notices today, we have important ones, particularly because tomorrow I am off on vacation for, what is effectively 2.5 weeks. We have shows lined up for you, premieres, basically, for next Sunday and the Sunday after. We will have premieres for the Pam Gregory meditations. So if you look out for the channel, on the channel, Elevated Planet channel, make sure you're subscribed. Then you'll see it all there waiting for you, and you'll be able to join the countdown and see those, because those shows again really do carry on the message that we're putting out there at the moment, and it's really super powerful stuff. So and as far as newsletters go, I'm not going to be sending the usual weekly newsletter now for the next 2 or 3 weeks, but we will still send the invitation out through the email distribution list for the Sunday shows. Anybody can find the Pam meditations, and obviously whilst we do them on Thursdays, obviously it's a 7-day-a-week initiative. So anytime that you feel the inclination, you can just go into the channel and pick it out and play it back and feel the unity and feel the the quantum wave structure of the planet elevating as with all our emotions and feelings, as Mary Magdalene put it, feeding into that and really bringing the compassion and kindness out to the world. So yeah, and what else do I need to add, Jolie?
Always, we ask that you like, share, and subscribe, especially if you feel this will resonate with some people in your community and your life. And just remember, we are a donation-based channel, and anything you can add to us, we would really appreciate and be grateful for.
Yes, 100%. Thank you very much. And yeah, I think that's it. I think we've done. As say, we will be not doing the lives, but we will still have the shows out there. We've been lining them up for you, and they will be ready to go. So, with that said, once again, a big vote of thanks to Jole for all your efforts despite the
Really,
challenges.
it's an honor.
Yeah, for me too. For me too.
Yeah.
And I look forward to catching up with you all, and I'll be able to let you know if I ever do find out where Joseph of Arimathea's villa was on Cyprus, because that's where I'm going to be.
Take
Um, I,
pictures.
I will. If I can find any historic sites which might have been that place where they used to do the midsummer gatherings, where Mary Magdalene would do her sort of annual speeches. Anyway, that's for me to investigate, and I'll come back and let you know. Other than that, thank you everybody for being here with us today. We truly honor you, we truly value you, and we look forward to catching up with you again very soon. Thank you.
Bye-bye.